Howdy. I really wanted to share with you this video I found some days ago, and yeah, I'm very fascinated by this. There's a lot of things which are very, very interesting. It talks about alchemy, transmutation of elements and stuff like that. And one thing I couldn't go around with was just thinking about the scalability of all the experiments every alchemist ever did. I mean, if it's possible to make such things in a laboratory on a small scale, we have to assume they are natural processes which are occurring naturally on a much bigger scale. Maybe not all the time, maybe not everywhere, but we might have to assume that they might occur in cycles. Let me just share a part of his video. Fraser builds. That's a very cool channel. I really recommend you to check it out. Give him all the thumbs up you have. And yeah, let's just have a quick listen, because I had just stumbled across another thing which I find very interesting. Maybe it ties into alchemy after all. But let me share just this with you.
Potassium is a metal no one knew existed until 1807. In the 1700s, chemists like Antoine Lavoisier had begun to theorize it might exist, but it wasn't until after the invention of the battery by Alessandro Volta that potassium metal was first isolated by Sir Humphrey Davy. Davy ran electricity through molten potash alkali. Apparently, when he did this, it burst into flames. However, he says when he reversed the polarity of the circuit, he was able to isolate what he called the peculiar inflammable principle, the basis of potash, which he named potassium, after potash. What a clever cookie was he. Then he tried the same experiment with soda alkali and isolated a different metal he called ytterbium. I'm kidding, he called it sodium. These became known as the alkali metals. He also tried the same experiment on quicklime, but it was much harder. Quicklime, being earthly, doesn't melt, and Davy noticed electricity could only pass through the alkali when it was molten. Eventually, Davy's contemporaries, Jeans Jacob Berzelius and Magnus Martin af Pontin, beat him to it by using a technique involving mercury to isolate the metal from quicklime, which Davy termed calcium. Calcium, along with the metals isolated from other earthly substances, make up the alkaline earths on the periodic table.
I really recommend you to watch this video at least. It's very, very interesting. And I've been talking about chemicals and metals quite a lot. I have this little playlist here, Finnish Copper. I don't recommend you to watch it, I invite you to watch it. I talk about copper quite a lot. And it has to be, or it is so, that copper is related to sulfur. And I talk about telluric currents, GICs, geomagnetically induced currents, where we would have the electric current flowing through the earth, which could create potassium and stuff, as we just heard. And for example, here I mentioned the word sulfur already in the title of the video. The planet Venus has very much sulfur in its atmosphere, and I talk about the auroras, about why the ancients feared the auroras, because they said if there's an auroral display you should wear a hat, and if you go outside, talk silently, don't whistle, otherwise the auroras could get angry, come down and kill you. Yeah. I even wrote about these kind of things. And you can find 3 of my 4 papers which I made until now here on the Pulse Gateway EPMC Gateway page made by Shifu Kareaga. Greetings to Shifu. Plate tectonic issues. There is one plate tectonic issues paper which is published in the NCGT journal, and the mountain water paper is also published and therefore peer reviewed. And here is part 2, which I published by myself on Academia. So I don't know if you could call this publishing. I just posted it there. I noticed over the time that it has several little mistakes in it. Yeah, I made it by myself. So there might be some, or there are some little mistakes. Let me show you one. Pentti Eskola wrote a paper called The Mineral Facies of Rocks. Yeah, that's not a mistake, but there is a picture somewhere where I show some rocks from the yard. And I once noticed that there's a word missing. 2 letters. And the thing is, I also talk about sulfur here in this. If you talk about copper, we have to talk about sulfur. I made a video, at least one, where I talk about... No, there are several, I think. Welding processes, electric welding, not gas, electric welding, electric arc welding, where they are investigating the influence of sulfur into the welding process. You will find it in the video. I think here it's the thing which is... No. Yeah, but look at that. Do you think meteorites created these craters? Really? Perfectly aligned. Yes, here's the mistake. A similar feature was described by Pentti Eskola. The author thinks that these craters are made electrically and not by plate tectonic mechanics. There is a word missing. Not. No, actually it should go here. And not by plate tectonic mechanisms. But anyway, no one is perfect. I even got invited to some conference for microwaves and antennas and stuff like that. But it turned out I would have to pay something in order to get the papers published. Which is a pity. But anyway, I got invited to something like that. It talks about microwaves. Yes. Let me just scroll down. That's a stone which has been in the microwave. Microwaved pebble. There's others. Also, I will put a link below. You can check the paper out. And if you have questions or whatever, ask. I cannot promise I can answer you, but I will try. This is in a microwave and I have plasma. We have the blue stockings, blue flames in the microwave. Microwave experiments Copper ore, which has been in the microwave, turned red because of the sulfur. So now let me show you just the trigger, a thing I found just before I started to make the video because it was just too interesting. Crimson red because of the sulfur. Spaceweather.com. Polar stratosphere temperature report. Anyone who saw last month's spectacular outbreak of polar stratospheric clouds, PSCs, will welcome this news. The icy clouds cold return in late January, if the air up there is cold enough. NASA climate model suggests that the cooling trend is already underway. Yeah, I saw them clouds, and it didn't take too long until we got some 37 degrees below zero. In other words, if there's no cooling event going up there, it takes some time until it reaches the surface. So we have to expect another cold period. Normally the stratosphere has no clouds at all. But when the temperature drops to a staggeringly low minus 85 degrees Celsius while the spaced water molecules coalesce into ice crystals, type 2 PSCs begin to form. The aurora-like colors make them the most beautiful clouds on Earth. There are two types of polar stratospheric clouds, the good and the bad. Type 1 PSCs are bad, composed of nitric and sulfuric acids. Type 1 clouds are visually unspectacular and, worse, they destroy stratospheric ozone. Type 2 PSCs are good. They are made of pure ice, harmless and beautifully colored. Sulfuric acids. Are they accumulated by the solar wind? That's the reason why we have these up there? Are they originated from volcanic eruptions like the Tonga? Could be, I don't know. But it seems that sulfur, it has the tendency to connect things, to penetrate deep into whatever, where it is involved, like in the electric arc welding paper I found some time ago and have been talking about a few times. And now again, once again the sulfur is here. And I just read this some minutes ago, and I was really interested into this. Like, it once again, it's about the sulfur. Now, I don't know really I cannot tell you the answers. I don't know even yet what to really ask about this. I just wanted to share this because I happened to stumble across this. Sulfuric acids and the bad clouds which bring the cold. Very interesting. And I just think how this is related to all the other things, like the auroras. Because these clouds are basically just below of where the auroras start. They are very, very close together. They might be just a double layer in between of them. Could be just a few hundred meters thick. So if you see those clouds, you can imagine, you see the clouds and they are approximately at the same height as the auroras. At the lowest. Of course, the auroras, they can be several hundred kilometers high from the lowest point upwards. But nonetheless, if you see those clouds, the colorful clouds, you see that's approximately the lowest point of the auroras. In other words, the auroras aren't too far away from you after all. Maybe some 85 kilometers, 100, it's not that far. But anyway, I just wanted to share this with you. If anyone knows something very interesting about sulfuric acids high up in the atmosphere and stuff like that, and know some papers about it or whatever, tell me. I'm always interested to get some new facts and stuff like that. And it's not that I wouldn't do any research, I wouldn't do anything just by not making videos. Like, it's ongoing. This is what I do every day, all the time. But anyway, it's interesting. There seems to be some cold event coming again in a few weeks, so be prepared. Winter isn't over yet. We are just a little bit over the half point, so almost as much is still left. And now today there has been, even in Finnish news, mainstream news, they were talking about the Tonga eruption, which could have some effects on the climate here in the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, it just took about 2 years until they figured it out. But anyway, it's interesting that it entered the mainstream news, finally. I wrote to the meteorologist who was explaining some things. Let's see if he answers ever. We are at the stepping point into the total age of Aquarius. So let me just share you still one little thing. The fifth dimension, Aquarius. Everybody knows that song. When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, Aquarius. So obviously we're talking about Aquarius, the water bearer. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding, no more falsehoods or derisions, golden living dreams of visions, mystic crystal revelation, and the mind's true liberation. Mystic crystal revelation and the mind's true liberation. Yeah, the crystal revelation. Let's talk about water, so bear with me. Water bear. What a joke. Anyway, what if water is a crystal and not a liquid? Maybe this could be very important information at the beginning of the age of Aquarius. I tried to find the stuff I wrote down about water, because at least in 2 papers I wrote about it, but I couldn't find it. And then I just decided I would share this video. If you read my papers through, you will stumble across it. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video where I'm gonna show the stuff I wrote about it and things like that. I don't know. Let's see. But anyway, we are at a very interesting point in time. There is bad clouds associated with sulfur, associated with water. Anyway, that's all very interesting. So many things are going on. There has been a very deep quake, a rather strong one, near or north of Lake Baikal in the Siberian Trap some days ago. I tried to make a video about that, but I didn't manage. There's so many things going on. But anyway, what if water is a crystal and not a liquid? No, that's a question maybe some people could figure out how to prove or disprove this claim. Yeah, the age of Aquarius might be a good time to do so. But anyway, I think I'll leave it here. Thanks. Bye.